Hello, everyone. My name is Frank Yozwiak, and I'm here with Trent Lakes.
Hello.
And today we are going to talk to you about protecting your personal data. So, thank you all for joining us on the webinar and on the podcast. Trent, let's go ahead. Let's jump right into this.
Alrighty.
So, protecting your personal data. We were going to talk about a few things today, but let's start out with why it's important. We're going to give a little scam overview, some common scams that we see, some techniques that we see scammers using. We're going to talk about some red flags to be on the lookout for, talk about the best practices that we use to try to identify and avoid scams, and some things that you can be doing as well. We'll give you some examples of some scams that are going on out there, some that have that we have some personal experience with, and then how to respond if you think that you have been scammed. So, first off, why it's important. You've got the negative impacts of you being the victim. First and foremost on that list is obviously the financial loss. If you get scammed and you lose money, that's terrible, and we want to avoid that at all costs. So you want to be aware of these scams and try to avoid them. But past the financial loss, if it doesn't even go that far, you've got the emotional distress you have to deal with, and then it's time consuming to rectify. If you've got to call your bank and call your credit card company and reset all your passwords and yada yada, it's just a big pain to have to deal with. And that's kind of the best case scenario of you getting scammed and not losing your money. So
Yeah, and
all of
Frank,
that.
I know you were touching on it there. But there are situations where you might get scammed financially and that money goes offshore out of the US and it's never to be seen again. And that's the
uh,
worst case scenario. So
Exactly. So obviously the worst case is, you losing your money or anything like that. But even the quote unquote good end of the spectrum is not something that we want to be dealing with. And then it's also important to be aware of this because sophistication of these scams is getting really, really sophisticated with AI becoming more ubiquitous. We've seen a lot of voice impersonations. We've seen a lot of visual impersonations. We've seen cloning of emails and of websites to make it look very legitimate. So we're going to point you through some red flags to be aware of and some common tactics and techniques that these scammers use. So let's hop right in there. Trent, let's talk about some common phishing scams that we're seeing.
yeah, and you kind of hit the nail on the head there with making a fake website or fake link look real. With the technology that's available today that we use to benefit our lives, the bad actors are also using those technologies to make it difficult to spot these scams and to ultimately try to make you a victim of whatever scheme they're trying to pull. Some common ones we see, I know we both, me and you, Frank, get a lot of packages delivered, and we do get those delivery notifications, but some of them turn out to be scams where there's a false link embedded in the delivery notification. It may look like a real package, but it turns out it's just a way to get your personal information.
That's right. I think everybody here listening and watching is buying stuff on Amazon pretty regularly. So
Mhm.
it's not uncommon to see, hey, delivery update in your email inbox. But they can sneak in there and say, hey, delivery or something's changed with your package delivery. Click here to see the update. Don't click. That's something you want to be on the lookout for.
Yeah, and another one that we often hear about is the your account has been compromised, and you'll get a warning message from that. Sometimes it might be true, but there might be other times where it's a bad actor trying to steal your information and wanting you to give them your login credentials.
Absolutely. So you got to be aware of again, this is not what we're going through an exhaustive list of all the scams that are out there. These are just some common ones that we've seen recently. Cryptocurrency is getting more and more popular. Somebody's asking you for payment in crypto or trying to get into your crypto account or whatever the case may be. Just there's a lot of scam going on around the crypto universe, so to speak. We're also coming up on midterms for political purposes. There's a lot of scams going on with political donations. If you are a person who feels so inclined to donate to the political candidate of your choice, we would recommend, go to that candidate's website and donate directly there, or go to a trusted source and donate there. A lot of times you get that message, a text message on your phone that says, hey, donate to candidate XYZ. You click, you donate, you believe in the cause, and actually you're just putting your money in the scammer's personal fund. So you want to be aware of that. These common scams going around. Another one is romantic. Trent, a lot of people are dating online these days.
Hmm.
So we're seeing this as kind of being a more popular trend, the romantic scam. If you're doing the online dating thing, and it seems like every time you want to FaceTime with this person, that for whatever reason they can't
They're
FaceTime with you,
always busy,
they're
and
always
then they want to
busy.
come back and ask for some money for something.
That's right. Be aware. So this is, it sounds funny. We kind of joke about it, but this is a legitimate thing that some people are getting taken for money by someone on the internet who is not who they are purporting to be. So just be aware of, these things are out there and they're real.
And then one that may apply to a bigger bucket of people, a receipt or an unpaid invoice. I know I don't like to have any unpaid bills, and I'm sure the folks watching are going to listen to this later. They don't want to have unpaid bills. So when you get a email that says, "Oh, you owe this amount," and click this link to pay your unpaid balance, that can be pretty scary for folks, and they'll want to go in and try to pay that balance. But it turns out a lot of those are with malicious intent.
That's right. And a lot of us have recurring monthly subscriptions that we're paying for. We've got all kind of different things that are kind of auto paid out of our accounts. So just be aware of, hey, I usually get the bill on the 5th of the month or the 15th, but now I'm getting a notice on the 23rd of the month, or just something seems a little bit off. Even again, going back to that sophistication, they can make this look like something that you are used to doing that kind of fits with your normal day to day. So it won't be necessarily immediately obvious that it's a scam, but this is out there. So we just want to, again, bring your attention to it and make you aware that these things exist, and don't click on all the links that you get.
Yeah, and then another popular one that we see, and I know a handful of us in the office have been tried to or have been tried to been hooked on it. Uh, government agencies reaching
Hmm.
out and claiming that we missed jury duty or we owe $10,000 in back taxes and we need to go on and pay right now. And that's just untrue.
That's right. We have some good examples of that later on that we can get into. This overpayment and or refund scam. So there was one not too long ago that was the Best Buy Geek Squad. This, you sign up for the Geek Squad, you pay the monthly fee, and all of a sudden you get an email that says, "Oops, we double billed your account. We're going to send a refund." And then, "Oops, we refunded you too much. Can you send the money back before I lose my job?" Heads up, this is a real thing, and don't send the money back.
Yeah, I mean
Want to
if it
avoid that.
seems too good to be true, it probably isn't true. And unfortunately that
Yes,
does catch some people.
exactly. Exactly. Trent, tell us about rat attacks, remote access tools.
Yeah, so these are relatively new, and we heard about this one through our regular education that we get. A remote access tool or a rat attack is where someone remote, not in your vicinity, can access your computer or whatever device you're using, and then they go in and they can fetch all of your username and passwords. And then when you think you've logged off, this bad actor over here that accessed your credentials can now log into your accounts and do whatever bad actions that they see fit. And unfortunately, it happens to a lot of us without even knowing.
That's right. So we need to be very much aware of that, and not fall for these scams. So Trent, tell us a little bit about some of the techniques that these scammers are using. What are they doing to kind of get people on the hook?
Yeah, I mean, with those situations we've just went over, there seem to be a lot of common threads that prevail throughout all of those various scenarios. And we kind of break them down into two different categories. One, they pull on your emotional strings. And then two,
Hmm.
there's some sort of urgency or time element that's involved with these scams. And
Like right
for
now, we got to do this right now.
absolutely, yeah. And then so I like to pair these up. Fear as an emotion, and then an urgent example would be a family member needs help. And
Mm,
obviously, if someone in your family needs help, you want to reach out and help, but
right.
these
Who's
scammers
not
can
going
make
to?
it seem.
Who among us is not going to help a family member in need?
Mhm. And then another one we kind of hit on the last one as well. There's some sort of authoritative figure, and if you don't comply with what they say, there's going to be some sort of consequence.
That's right. Yeah. No one wants to have a warrant out for their arrest. No one wants to have a lien put on their pay stub from the IRS. So these are kind of the tactics that these scammers will use. And what's that last one? The
Yeah,
opportunity.
and then like we were saying, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. And so these scammers will find that opportunity that they can seek out with your emotions. And so the Best Buy example I think is great, where they over refund you, oh, great opportunity, we have extra money, and but the Best Buy people, the scammers, they need to reverse that entry, and
That's
that's where
right.
they get you.
It's the classic, right? The Crown Prince of
Yeah,
Nigeria has untold millions of dollars that of everyone in the world, they need to put it in your account. And if you do them this one favor, you're going to get 20% of the fortune. Again, if the opportunity seems too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. And again, we can sit here and smile and laugh at it, but they do it because this stuff works. And it may not all be as obvious as that, but you got to be aware of the subtleties. And so Trent, with that in mind, what are some of these common red flags that we can all be aware of here?
yeah, and you hit it perfect there. They make it 99% real. And then there's maybe one or two small little things that someone who's detail oriented may notice, but someone
Mm,
who's just clicking, thinking everything is ordinary and nothing bad's going to happen to them, they could miss those sort of details. And so some of those might be you get a call from an unknown phone number. I know when we call our clients here at Ballast on their phone, it pops up as this is Ballast,
that's
and they
right.
know it's a legit phone call.
That's right. Yeah, most large businesses, the most legitimate businesses, and I don't mean to say this that you're an illegitimate business if you don't have your name on the caller ID, but a lot of legitimate companies will have their name on the caller ID. So if someone calls you up and they say, "Hey, I'm from XYZ company," but it just shows up as a unlisted phone number, or worse yet, if it shows up as a blocked number, red flag, heads up.
Yeah, and then back to that urgency theme that we see through a lot of these scams. There's always some sort of immediate action that you have to take, and then they want to stay on the phone with you while you do it. I don't know why they think we can't operate on our own, but they want to make sure you do exactly what they say, and that's a little
Right.
suspicious in my mind.
That's right. They've got you on the hook. They want you to do it right now. Hey, I'll get back to this. I'll call you back later. No, 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 no. Let's just take care of it right now. If someone is being that pushy with you, that's a red flag. There's nothing in a legitimate business world well, not I say nothing. For the most part, there's never something that a legitimate actor is trying to get done where you can't say, "Hey, I'll call you back later," and they'll say, "Okay, that's totally fine."
And for
Uh,
our purposes of ballast, there's nothing that we will ask you to do that is that urgent where you have to do it right away.
Right this very minute.
Mhm.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then another one we typically see, you may work with various businesses. We work with Schwab a lot on our side. I know everyone's accounts are through Schwab. Um, they typically have a single method of communication that they prefer. So if you happen to be working with someone that has email as their preferred communication, and you always receive legitimate emails from these people, and then one day you get a text message that says, I'm Schwab, do this, this, and this,
That's
that
right.
might be cause for concern.
So the new method of communication, this company always calls you and now you get a text message, or they always text you and now you're getting an email. Something different, something out of the ordinary. None of these by themselves mean for sure it's a fraud. But again, these are just the red flags that we want to be on the lookout for.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. None of these by themselves may mean scam, but a lot of these have multiple red flags. And if you piece the puzzle together, you're going to find out that it most likely is a scam. And another one that we're seeing a lot more recently with the increase in computer technology, screen sharing and remote access. I
Hmm.
mean, back to the rat attacks that we were talking about. Someone is not on site. They can do this on the other side of the world. They can access your computer. So if someone's able to access your computer or at least see what you can see on your computer, that could be trouble for you.
Exactly. You got to be aware of who you're letting see your screen, who you're letting drive your computer. Could be very legitimate. It could be a legitimate IT person. It could be us sharing a screen with you or having you share your screen with us. But if it's an unknown person, if it's a lesser known person and they want to get in and use your screen or drive your controls for you, make sure you're very diligent about knowing who that person is on the other end before you grant them that access.
Yeah, and that kind of leads us into our next two ideas that we had kind of go together. The first one being your email address doesn't match the source that it says it's coming from. And then the second one being a URL link doesn't match where the website or where the link is going to send you. So I know for us at Ballast, all of our emails end in at ballastplan.com.
That's
And
right.
so if the email says from Trent Lakes and the email address doesn't end in at ballastplan.com, it most likely isn't from me.
Right. And kind of getting back to that sophistication at the beginning, that it could have a good subject line. It could have the correct company logo in the body of the email. It could even have a whole bunch of fine print at the bottom of the email that looks very convincing. But sometimes it's something as little as, well, the at companyname.com company name might be misspelled or something a little bit different, a little bit goofy there. So another red flag for everybody to be aware of.
Yeah, and then our other one that came to mind about the bad URL links, for those that are able to watch, we made a fake link in the office yesterday where the link text says we're going to take you to google.com, but then if you were to hover over the link with your mouse, it's actually going to take you to thisisaScam.com, which is not a real website, and I know that sounds kind of joking, but these bad actors can make that website anything they want, and they can send you to places you don't want your information going.
That's right. So if for some reason your radar has not started pinging yet and you're about to click the link, one more step you can do before you click the link, hover your mouse over the link and it'll pop up underneath it or in the bottom corner the actual URL that it's about to take you to. So be aware and make sure that it is taking you to a place that appears to be legitimate. That's just another thing you can do, another red flag you can be on the lookout for.
Yeah, and then our final idea that we had, an incomplete profile, and I'd like to also add inconsistent profile. So
Yes.
I know our clients have known us for years, and we'll communicate back and forth via email. I know a lot of us have our headshot as our profile picture on our email,
Or
and
the
then one
company
day,
logo.
yeah, exactly, yeah, or company logo, and then one day they may get an email and the profile picture is just the letter T or the letter F
Mm,
for Frank.
yep,
That's a little inconsistent. It's not a completed profile. That might be a red flag as well.
that's right. So, again, this is not an exhaustive list of all the red flags out there, but these are definitely something that we're on the lookout for. We want you all to be on the lookout for as well. So, best practices, how do we do it? So, we're using very strong and unique passwords. I personally use a password keeper software, and I think these things are pretty good. A good example of one would be LastPass. You've got to create a strong password to get into it, and then use dual factor authentication to access it. And then I can allow that software to create the string of hieroglyphics for all
Random.
my other logins that are very difficult for someone to guess. Please don't make your password. Please don't write your passwords down on a sticky note and stick it underneath your keyboard. Um, Hopefully we're all avoiding that, and we want to use strong passwords and unique passwords to the best of our ability, and not have it be something about you like your address or your date of birth, your kids' names, your kids' date of birth, something like that. Try to avoid that the best you can. I touched a little bit on multi-factor authentication. I strongly encourage you guys to use this. This is something that we all use for all of our logins. This is where you type in your password, and then it's going to send you a text code or some other kind of code, or you're going to have to log into a different app and click the authenticate button. Yes, it's a little bit time consuming on the front end to finally get into your accounts, but I promise you it is so much better than having to deal with the back end of somebody else getting in and stealing all your stuff. So, to the extent that you can use multi-factor authentication, we do it. We strongly encourage everybody else to do it as well. And then calling to verify authenticity and accuracy. As a best practice, as a rule here in the office, we get an email from a client that says, "Hey, Frank, I want to take XYZ dollars out of my account. Can you please send it to me?" And it's someone that we talk to all the time. Like, absolutely, we're calling as a rule. We're calling anytime money is coming in or out, we're calling the client to verbally confirm, hey, did you actually send this? Do you actually want this? I want to hear your voice on the other end say yes. And then it goes past that as well. So a client wants to donate stocks to a charity or send money from A to B via wire, or that, buying a house, we want to get our new escrow set up, or whatever the case is. We're getting those instructions from the client, or they're forwarding us an email with those instructions. Then we're also getting on Google and looking up that company, that third party company ourselves. We're finding the names and the contact people. We're calling the number that we're finding on Google, making sure that the person that answers the phone is the person that in the instructions. And then we're having them verbally read out the instructions as well, just to authenticate and make sure that what we have is accurate. Make sure that we're getting a human being on the other end of the line that can tell us, yes, this is accurate. This is the place to send the money to.
And I mean, getting that second source of validation or verification is super important, especially if there's a team of scammers that are sending instructions to you. It may look like separate parties that are working
Correct.
together in your best interest. But at the end of the day, we can go online, look up these people, call over to verify that your wishes are being met and we're doing the proper things to make sure they are met.
That's right. So, to the best of our ability, we're digging into all this for all of our clients. And anytime there's any money movement, especially money movement, we want to double and triple check and make sure that it's going to the right place, to the right person. We're also using secure internet networks, firewall setup and virus protection software. So we want to make sure that we're doing that. It's good for you to do that as well. And then just being vigilant and trying to stay informed as best as possible of all the new scam techniques and red flags that are out there. Trent mentioned earlier, we were alerted earlier of new scams coming out. We get those emails of like, hey, here's the new tactics that the scammers are using. We're trying to stay abreast of that and make sure that we're aware of it, trying to make our clients aware of it, doing things like this. Um, so that's what we do. How can you do it? Well, similar to us, stay vigilant. I think one of the biggest things here, one of the biggest takeaways of this entire presentation is if you are not expecting it, don't click it. That can save so much headache.
And I'll
Uh,
throw in another one there for you. I know QR codes are becoming more popular. If you get an email that says scan this QR code to do
yes,
this, and you weren't expecting that, probably not a great idea to scan that with your camera.
that's right. Yeah, don't click it if you're not expecting it. Um, Use the multi-factor authentication like we talked about. Don't share your personal information. If someone calls you up and says, "Hey, we're doing this transaction. All we need is your social security number. We'll knock it out." Um, Now that's a pretty obvious one, but if anyone's, if you ever get a red flag, if you ever get that spidey sense tingling in the back of your neck that says, "Hey, something feels a little off," hit the pause button. Don't click the link. Don't give your personal information. Just to the best you can, avoid doing that stuff. A lot of us travel a lot. Don't use public computers for, important stuff like this and for financial stuff, especially. Don't try not to even plug into those USB power jacks in airports and whatnot. Scammers can get in, they can access your stuff, your data if you plug into those kinds of things, especially if you're using public computers. You don't know what's already installed on those computers. It's going to be tracking keystrokes. If you do travel a lot, you do need to use your computer for work. I'd recommend getting a personal hotspot that's got its own security built into it. That way, if you are somewhere with a public Wi-Fi, don't log on to that and get onto your Schwab account there. People can hack in and track your keystrokes and whatnot. So do what you can do. Personal Wi-Fi hotspot is a good option there if you need to be using your computer away from home. And then just taking that extra moment to verify, find the true phone number, call the trusted source. So if you get an email that says it looks legitimate, going back to the sophistication, looks real, has the right company logo, the right name, has got a phone number in the bottom, it says, hey, call us, we'll get this thing taken care of. I'm Googling that company name and finding a separate phone number, and I'm calling that number that I found, not the one that they emailed to me.
Mhm.
And I would recommend that you all do the same thing because that's
I mean,
big.
same with our CRM system that we use internally. If we
Bingo.
get an email from a
Yep.
client and there's a phone number in the signature line, they ask us to call them back. We're going to go look at the phone number we have in our internal systems rather than a phone
Exactly.
number in an email, which may or may not be a bad phone number.
Exactly. Exactly. So go to that trusted source, call the trusted source, find the do your own side research, and don't just trust what's in the email or what's in the text message or however it comes to you. Do a little bit of digging. Yes, it does take a little bit of time, but again, much better to do this on the front end and then have to clean up the pieces on the backside. And then finally, when you're done doing whatever you're doing financially or whatever on your computer, log out, hit the log out button, and close your browser. If there was anyone trying to track your keystrokes or logged in or kind of however they're hacking into your computer, log out, close your browser, shut it all down properly. Those are some good practices that you can do. And if you're in the office and you walk down the hall for whatever reason, hit the lock button on your computer. You never know who's around, who can pop in. It doesn't take very long for a sophisticated scammer to come in and install something on your computer or download something or whatever the case may be. So lock your
And with
stuff
a
up.
lot of these scams, there's no undoing it either. So
Right.
once it's there, it's there. And
Once it's there, it's
up
there.
front, try to protect yourself as much as you can.
Absolutely. So now we're going to hop into a couple examples. This is a text message. Trent, tell everybody what we're looking at here.
Yeah, so this is a text that a client of ours sent in, and thank goodness they did. So they received this text message from Schwab,
In the
and it says,
headphones. Yeah.
yeah, it says there was a basically $3,000 debit from their account, and if they didn't request that, let's click on this link here below. And for those that are able to read along, that link is spelled SHCAWD. And I'm no English major, but that doesn't spell Schwab to me, and that should be a red flag in of
Yes.
itself.
Now, I'll tell you what, Trent, that is absolutely not how you spell Schwab, but you can see how if you just
Oh,
quickly
yeah.
glance over this, you can see how you could read that as Schwab.
Yeah,
So,
6 letters, starts with an S, looks
yeah,
like a website. Who would have thought that's not actually schwab.com if you're quickly glancing over? And then another thing that I found interesting is this was sent via text message.
hmm.
And I'm not sure how many financial institutions use text message for messages like this.
Yeah, if you get something like this, um, give us a call like this client did, and we can very quickly confirm or deny whether or not this is accurate, whether or not this is legitimate. Another example here that we're seeing is this is an email example. What are we looking at here, Trent?
Yeah, so this is a DocuSign in quotes. And they even got the email down with the color scheme and everything. A blue header, a green button. I know that looks very similar to the DocuSigns that we send out.
Yeah.
But there was one thing that we noticed. The person that sent us this, they had in the yellow highlight there, it says at caramelmusic.com. And that person had no affiliation with Caramel Music. They might be great people, I don't know, but the important thing is the client didn't know Caramel Music either. And
Yep.
they could have easily thought, oh, this is just a normal DocuSign and I need to click on this link and sign it. And
Yep.
thankfully they didn't, or who knows what could have been stolen in terms of personal data.
Yeah, so getting back to the sophistication, I mean, this is again kind of a quick example here, but this looks like a DocuSign. I mean, it matches what a DocuSign would look like. We send a lot of DocuSigns to our clients, so do a bunch of other companies. So it's not unheard of for you to have a DocuSign pop up in your inbox. Just slow down before you click. Make sure that it is coming from the company or the person that you're expecting it to come from. And if it's coming from someone at business name you've never heard of.com, hit the pause button. Don't click the link. Take an extra step. If we ever send you a DocuSign, we love it when our clients call us and say, "Hey, I just got this DocuSign. Is this legitimate? Yes or no?" But please, we are not at all annoyed. We are happy when you call us on those kinds of things to make sure that you're doing the right thing, you're clicking the correct thing, and you're not clicking into some scammers thing here and getting tied up in that way. Next up, we got the phone call examples, and here's a couple of them. So, a couple of years ago, I was walking into the office about to head into a meeting, and I got a phone call that said, "Hey, this is the Fayette County Sheriff's Office. This is Sheriff so and so. You missed jury duty, and you owe a fine, or we're gonna just put a warrant out for your arrest." And I said, "Oh my gosh, I had no idea." I was legitimately scared, Trent. And I said, "Let me get your
Yeah, no.
name. I got to go into a meeting. I'll call you back later." When I came out, just it didn't seem right. So I Googled it. I Googled the sheriff's office. Couldn't find a sheriff by that name. So I called the sheriff's office from the number that I found on Google. And they said, of course, no, that is not legitimate. That's a scam. Apparently, it's a common scam. It almost got me, but be aware these things can happen. It sounds like an authoritative figure. It sounds like something we got to take care of right now because there's going to be a legal consequence on the backside. None of us want to have to deal with that. If that's ever the case, slow down, double check the source, and make sure you're not falling for the trap.
Yeah, and then another one that I ran into, back when I was in high school, my grandfather got a call from an unknown caller. The number didn't show up as anybody he knew. The caller was actually from New Jersey, and my grandfather picks up and he hears, "Hey, your grandson Trent has been arrested, and you need to send money so we can bail him out." So my grandfather was scared, as any family member would be,
That's
and
right.
they're trying to get immediate action. So he ends up calling my dad, and my dad answers, and my grandfather tells him, "Yeah, did Trent get arrested?" And I was sitting in the chair next to my dad in our house. And so obviously we squashed that and it wasn't a real situation. But instilling
Yeah,
that fear into people can really make people make bad decisions.
that's right. And to the sophistication. Not only did they know your grandfather's number, they knew he had a
Mhm.
grandson.
They
They knew
knew
his
my
grandson
name.
knew your
Yeah,
name. It's kind of scary what they know.
right.
But a lot of our information is out there, and these scammers can use that to their advantage, to your detriment. So be aware. Trent, did you know that prior to working at Ballast, I actually had a short stint working at the IRS?
I knew you were in the tax field. I didn't know you were on the bad guys team, but
I did. And while I was working for the IRS, I got a phone call one day that said, "Hey, this is the IRS and you owe back taxes." And I immediately knew this is a scam because I know that the IRS will not call you. They're going to send you a letter via USPS, and that's the way they communicate. But a lot of people don't know that. And we just had tax day, 4/15 just passed. And so, it's not out of the realm of possibility that, hey, you just filed your taxes, the IRS looks it over, they give you a shout and they say, hey, you messed up on this, you actually owe a little bit more money. I can see how someone could fall for that, but
oh,
be
absolutely.
aware this is a scam. They're not going to call you and ask for money. Um, and another red flag here, if something like this, if it sounds really legitimate and you're falling for it, and they say, okay, here's how you make your payment. Go buy some gift cards or send us cryptocurrency. Huge red flag. Put a stop on that right
The
there.
US
Hang up
government
the
does not
phone.
accept a Visa card or
Yeah,
Bitcoin.
that's not
So
the way that they're going to operate. So those are some examples, some red flags that we've covered. So what do we do, Trent, if you think that you have been scammed? What are some things we can do?
yeah, even if you think you've been scammed and you're not sure, a great step to take is go ahead and change your passwords. The one caveat I will add with this is with those rat attacks or remote access tool attacks, those tools are living in your device. So it might be
Mhm.
smart to get a different device. So if your computer might have got hacked, maybe take it out on a tablet and change your passwords there.
That's right. Yeah. So you computers hacked or attacked, change your passwords not using your phone. Your phone's attacked, change your passwords using your tablet. Use a different device, change all your passwords. Another one that you can do, and you do this on the front end, really before anything bad happens, is doing a credit freeze. I did this not long ago, called all three credit bureaus, put a freeze on all my credit. It took half an hour to do all three. Very, very simple. But now no one can use my credit, and if anybody ever does, it's frozen. They can't get anywhere with it. Kind of in that same vein as the fraud alerts. So companies like LifeLock and similar services, again, this is more helpful on the front end, but you can pay for one of these subscription services that's going to go out and monitor the web and the dark web for any of your data. And if it finds it, it'll give you an alert. And so that can help you prevent getting scammed.
Yeah, and then another one that's pretty common, if you know you've been scammed, or even if you think you might be scammed, like I may have lost my wallet once. You can call your bank or call your credit card company and cancel the card. If someone has your account number but you have your physical card, the bank's phone number is on the back of that card. You call that number immediately, tell them, "Hey, I think someone has my account information. I want to lock and cancel this card." And
Yep.
just like that, the bad actors can't use it anymore.
That's right. The banks will know what to do. And And kind of another thing with the credit card is take a little bit of time and actually review your credit card statement. A lot of times, what these bad actors will do if they get your credit card information is the first purchase they make is not the $30,000 trip to Barbados. It may be $2 at the gas station. So if you can just take a minute, skim down through, and if you see a small transaction that, hey, that's not the gas station that I usually go to, it's a different one. Heads up. It can be very sneaky before it turns into a huge problem. But if you notice something like that, call the credit card company, call the bank, get a new card. Again, it's a pain in the butt to have to do it, but I promise it's way easier than trying to track down all your money after it's already been stolen. Next up is file a police report. The police have a department that is working on this kind of cybercrime and scams and whatnot. And unfortunately, a lot of times once the money is gone, it's gone. But if you make a report of it, that's a good thing. Sometimes they can help you. So, never a bad idea if you think you have been scammed to, call your bank, call your credit card company, call the police, let them know what's going on. They may be able to help you get some amount of recuperation back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
then as always, we're on your team. We're happy to help. If there's anything that you might be unsure of and want a second opinion on, we're always here for you. And we hope that we're a trusted contact for everyone. So if you do run into any of these situations, we're happy to take a second look and determine whether it is a
absolutely.
scam or not.
Absolutely. Even if it has nothing to do with your relationship with Ballast, if it's something completely different that has nothing to do with us, still feel free to give us a call. We may have heard about a similar scam because, again, we stay abreast of these kinds of things. We may be able to help identify whether or not that appears to be a legitimate actor or a bad actor. Give us a call. We are more than happy to help. So, here's some final thoughts. Watch out for those red flags that we talked about. When in doubt, stop. Do not click the link that looks a little bit sketchy. If any of your radar is pinging and your spidey sense is going off, don't click the link. Give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to help you out, and do a little bit of extra research on the front end. Do a little bit of extra kind of safety due diligence to avoid one of these really bad things, one of these really bad outcomes happening for you. So. As always, if you have any questions or you'd like to talk about this anymore, please give us a call. We would love to hear from you. Thank you all.